Bum, 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 bum. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. How many times can I say hello? It is time, once again, for our life. How exciting. I'll give anyone who wants to come watch a minute to come in, so it'll be a minute before I start. You see the cat back there? It's probably going to be a bit of a shorter stream today because I have a lot of work to do. Let's see. Ba-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba. Okay, open up this so I can read the chat. Lovely. Okay. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. Oh, it's gonna be a little bit shorter today, probably. I don't actually know if I'm gonna end up finishing the game because I only have like an hour to stream. So depending on how long Charity goes for, we might end the summer, we might not. We'll have to wait and see. I'll wait a minute more so anyone who wants to come in can come in, and then we will get started. I'm excited. We're getting close to the end. I don't know what I'm going to play after this. I'm thinking... I have a couple games in mind for once I do finish Our Life. So we'll see. Pop us over to this tab. Alright, let's see here. Gonna continue. Yes, okay. Alright. Our life. Our lifetime. Alright. Let's see here. Just one more second, cause I need to send this to someone. Thank you to anyone watching this in the future. I always appreciate y'all as well. And thankfully I remembered to stream today. I didn't forget, which has almost happened a few times now. But we good. Hello. Hi, Alex. Okay. So we are playing Charity. Let's see. Cove pushed himself to his feet from where he had been bent down in the sand, stretching out his back and groaning softly. A tired breath slipped past his lips as he wiped his brow, looking out over the shore. It looks great. Pardon me. You stood beside him, joining in the surveying of the sand that almost seemed to sparkle beneath the midday sun. The two of you had been on the beach since sunrise, cleaning up and down the beach looking for various debris, and the work had paid off. Oh geez, sorry. Using a hand to shield your eyes from blinding rays, you glanced across the way where the other volunteers from Orca were gathered. They were easily recognizable by the high-vis vests they wore. It looked as though everyone was about ready to wrap things up for the day. I'm happy to see it in a better state. It was pretty sad looking when we got here. The beaches of this town were practically your own. Were practically your own personal backyard, rather. Awkward pause. And you visited them a lot. It felt good knowing that you were helping to take care of them. Too bad not everyone sees the joy in putting trash where it belongs. Oh well. Putting trash where it belongs. Like me. Cove placed his hands on his hips, a pleased grin pulling at the corners of his mouth as he admired the work you'd both done. You'd begun to realize during your time volunteering for the organization how seriously Cove took his service. It was easy to see that it was something important to him. You volunteered because it was a good reference? No. You felt equally as invested and always gave it your best efforts. It was important that the ocean you grew up with was protected. It had always been a big part of your life, and you felt that the least you could do was give back to it in some way. Hey, nice work, Lewis. Thanks. It's been a good year so far. It's crazy to think that it's already time to push the big event. You let out a big breath, thinking of the formal dinner that Orca organized every year. Being a completely fundraising focused event for large donors, it was crucial for the organization's projects in the year to come. You had to be over 18 to attend, so this was your first opportunity to actually see it in person. All you had heard about it so far was that it was a prim and proper occasion with speeches and everything. Oh, hi, welcome back. I'm glad you stopped by. You got here in good time. We're just starting right now. We're doing charity, and then if I have enough time, we'll end the summer, but I don't know if I will have enough time today. We'll see. You didn't know what else to expect from it, as you weren't a part of the group who planned the evening. Before the big night came around, the volunteers would have to sell the tickets for it, and that's where you'd be helping. I'm curious about the night. It might be fun. I've never been to a professional type party. Cove nodded, though he still seemed reluctant. I just don't feel excited about attending a super formal meal with proper etiquette and stuff, you know? He threw his arms out to the side, making a bit of a show at how ridiculous it seemed to him. I've got sand all over my room and only one nice shirt, and I go barefoot pretty much whenever I can. I'm gonna be so out of place. Right, I bet you'd rather stay out here. I don't want to have to worry about manners. Right, I bet you'd rather stay out here. This is where you really belong, not in white-collar society. He chuckled a little and gave you a sidelong glance. You know me too well. A small beeping noise came from Cove's pant pocket, and he pulled it out and glanced at the screen. Huh? It's the organizers. They sent a text to the group. Time to call it a day here. Alright, ready to head to our next activity? Cove tucked his cell away eagerly, turning to you. Let's head over and drop the trash bags off at the trucks. Then we can drive back and join the ticket team. We've got to be there pretty soon to relieve them. With a stretch of shore this long, the plan was to switch places with the other team who had been pushing the tickets for the fundraising dinner halfway through. It would be a full day of work, but it was Orca's largest event of the year, and all hands were on deck to make sure it was a success. You nudged your shoulder against Cove's. He chuckled and nudged you back playfully with his now free hand. You collected the trash bags spread along the way together, heading across the beach to hoist them onto the trucks before heading off to the next job. The drive back to your neighborhood and making your way to the shopping street was fairly quick, though Cove stressed a little about being late. I'm very tired today. I have not got a lot of sleep, so I apologize if I am just mushing my words today. Luckily, he was able to find a parking spot nice and close to where you needed to be. You jumped out of the car and quickly went towards where you knew the group would be. Finally reaching the stall that was set up to sell tickets, you stopped for a moment to catch your breath. That was quite the flurry of activity. Oh my god. Nah, it's fine. Have you ever thought about sleeping? You know, that's a solid point. Sleep... I can't believe I never thought of that, Alex. You're a genius. I just need to sleep. That's what I haven't been doing this whole time. What would I do without you? It would be your job for the rest of the afternoon to help sell tickets for the fundraising dinner. And looking around the street, you saw that there were plenty of potential buyers out today. That would hopefully help to move the tickets along. The stall itself was simple, a portable table with a few plush sea animals as decorations and a banner stuck across the front. There were 2 volunteers who were already packing up and getting ready to head off to the beach. They gave both of you a friendly smile as you arrived. Volunteer 1, oh boy, I got a new voice. Hey Cove, Lewis. How'd things go at the beach?
Not bad.
It was good. The place is looking great. We're lucky to get a 2-for-1 when it comes to you guys. Cove cleared his throat awkwardly from beside you, and you noticed his cheeks flushing pink. Here we go again. That's right, that's like sleeping for 8 hours. Yeah, I know, unheard of, right? 8 hours. Who could get 8 hours of sleep? It's not real. That voice. had to pick something recognizable and different from the rest. That's right, that's us. We're joined at the hips, some might say. The volunteers chuckled and packed up the last of their stuff, and Cove seemed to relax a little more. The volunteers made room for you and Cove behind the table, while they circled around to the front of it. Oh wait, which, oh god, I've immediately forgotten what voice I just gave this person. Thanks for coming in for a shift. We better make this quick so we can head off to the next place. No problem. What do you need us to do? We're ready for whatever is needed. One of the volunteers handed you a clipboard with all the details needed to sell tickets, while the other tossed a set of keys to Cove, which he caught with ease. Those are for the money box and supply kit. Make sure to keep them on you at all times. Aside from handling the cash for the tickets, there's also a form on the clipboard for the guests to fill in their info. What are these voices? That way we know how many tickets we've sold and who will be attending the event. There's a small script beneath that if you get stuck for what to say, and that's about it. Pretty simple, huh? Uh-huh. I think we got this. Satisfied that you knew what you were doing, the volunteers said their goodbyes and started walking away. Thank God, because those were dumb voices. Leaving you and Cove to manage the stall alone. The keys jingled in his hand as Cove waved them off, before he stuffed them into the pocket of his pants for safekeeping. Bye, have fun. Once the volunteers were out of sight, Cove dropped down into a chair behind the counter with a sigh. We made it here just in time. It's cool we traded places with nothing happening. They might have been late getting to cleanup duty. He smiled, he leaned back in his seat, getting fully comfortable in the space, and gave you a small smile. Should've did your best impression of me as one of their voices. My best impression of you? Oh my god, what would that sound like? Well, if we have another mysterious person, I'll do that for the voice. You stayed standing. I'm just standing there, like, awkwardly staring at him while this other empty chair is just there. Yeah, I'm gonna take the other seat. It was just a simple plastic chair that squeaked when you sat on it, but it gave you a good view of the street. Why did I almost say the treat? You can't read. Okay. Got things under control. Stressed about getting here. I'm glad let's just rest in one place. You rubbed your eyes tiredly. Mood. I'm glad this work lets us at least rest in one place. Yeah, I really need to get off my feet for 5 seconds. Cove rummaged around the station a little, picking up a stuffed toy orca and holding it up in front of his face. You had to admit that it was pretty cute with its big bulging eyes and oversized flippers. It rhymes. Oh, hello! So nice to see you. We're still pretty early on, so you didn't miss too much. Glad you could make it. We're volunteering for our beach cleaning organization, and now we're manning a table to try and get people to sign our fundraiser thing. And it's just me and Cove sitting here, being bros. You know how it be. And I've been like messing up words constantly because I'm very tired today. Alright. Setting it back down on top of the table, Cove moved on to check the rest of the stall, finding a cooler stashed beneath the table. When he pulled it out and opened the lid, you could see that it was filled with half-melted ice cubes and about a half-dozen bottles of water. Ugh. See, there I go. Just you and Cove, being bros, the usual. We know how it is. As ever, best of bros. This is the last one today. This is the last thing before the summer ends, so we'll see how this goes. Maybe one of these two idiots will finally confess to each other. Wouldn't that be something? And then they can be best bros. Grabbing one of the plastic bottles, he unscrewed the cap and took a long drink. You watched the condensation running along the side and onto his fingers.
So?
Do you want one? Cove set his water on his side of the table before pulling out another, holding it out towards you. Yeah, of course. I'm always thirsty when you're around, Cove. Best bros? But what if we were more than bros, Cove? What if we were best bros? After opening it up, you took a drink and let out a satisfied sigh. You hadn't realized how thirsty you had been. It was always good to stay hydrated. You hadn't realized how thirsty you had been is just the permanent mood between the two of them. Jesus Christ. The two of you got settled in easily, and you took the chance to look over the paperwork on the clipboard. Cove joined you, leaning over your shoulder to get a better look. Seems like pretty standard stuff. He muttered, and you nodded quietly. It had general info about the event and the work you needed to do at the stall, as well as the amount of tickets sold thus far and the number remaining. You hadn't realized how thirsty you'd been. Exactly. That's just them. Cove tapped a finger on the counter as he read quietly over the notes, muttering a few things now and then that you didn't fully hear. He seemed content to be there, and you were sure that the afternoon would pass by quickly. When he glanced out towards the crowd and made a small sound, you followed his line of sight to see that a potential supporter was on their way over to the booth. Oh boy, you quietly continued checking over the papers. It was time to do customer service. Oh god. The worst thing in the world. This is Lewis, though. How is he with customer service? He'll just quietly check over the papers. Hi, how are you doing today? Cove greeted the person as they approached, and you were glad he had stepped in instead of making you do it. Customer service is, I hate it. Yup. I don't miss customer service, that's for sure. You were much more content with working in the background, and so designated yourself the task of taking guest details down instead. Time passed as the two of you manned the stall, and as people approached, your sales pitch would either have them asking for a ticket or two, or heading off and mumbling, maybe next time. All in all, you managed to sell a decent amount of tickets, and you could tell that Cove was happy with the outcome. As the afternoon drifted along, 6 p.m. arrived. Time to pack everything up and head home for the evening. Your work with Orko was far from over, but right now there was only one thing left to focus on, attending the actual event. Ooh, do we get to go to another fancy thing with Cove? How exciting. The days continued on in a normal flow, and before long the night of the Orca fundraising dinner was upon you. It was early evening, and you were in your room getting ready as the minutes ticked closer and closer towards the time you needed to leave. You wanted some privacy, so you had locked yourself away in your own room. Oh, I see. Yeah, let's bring Liz in here. Liz is helping you get ready while Cove was on speakerphone, yeah. You were currently in the midst of picking out an outfit, which Liz was helping you with, while Cove gave his input from the phone. Of course, Cove couldn't see any of the items you and Liz were choosing between, but he was trying to help all the same. You're looking forward to this? Well, I have no idea what happens here, so we'll see. How cute. Heck yeah. The event had strict guidelines, and you wouldn't be let in unless you were dressed to code. That meant having to find a truly professional outfit, but one that you were also happy with. He's helping from the phone. He's doing his best. He can't see anything, but he's just like, yep, that's great. Yeah, I'm sure you look fantastic. Yeah, you were happy to have a chance to dress up fancy. Why not every once in a while? You're about to get hit with a lot of fluff. How exciting! Make up for last time when we had that fight with Cove that was so angsty. Oh my god. And we all cried and hugged and it was good. But now we get the good fluff, so I'm excited. Okay. There were a couple of outfits that didn't get nearly as much use as you would have liked, and now is the time to show them off. You smiled as you picked your way through the items, your excitement shining bright. Like a diamond, one might say. You don't need to get too in your head thinking about the look, but you do need to hurry up and pick something. At this rate, you're going to have a better time picking out your outfit than at the party you're going to have a better time picking out your outfit than at the party itself. But whatever you go with, it'll be great. Oh my god, he literally is saying, I'm sure whatever it is, it looks great. Oh god. Or wait, was that... Yeah, okay, that was go. I never thought I'd see the day when Cole Holden would encourage me to wear something formal. Yeah, I never thought I'd see the day where Cole Holden would encourage me to wear something formal. A quiet chuckle came from your phone, and you smiled at the sound. Yeah, this really is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Taking a deep breath to refocus yourself, you looked over the options one last time. It was time to decide on an outfit, and quick. He just thinks you're cute. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't need to see what you're wearing, because he knows you'll be cute. Because he just thinks you're cute. In a very platonic way, naturally. We choose button-down shirt and pants. Yeah, button-down shirt and pants. Liz nodded in approval, clapping her hands together, satisfied.
Good.
Finally, we're making some progress. That sounds like it should be totally fine. Like, it'd be totally fine, rather. I'm wearing the same type of thing. Standing in front of your mirror, you quietly assessed your outfit. Sure, let's think about an accessory or two, why not? It needed a little extra something to finish it off. Rummaging through the rest of your wardrobe, you picked out what you needed to complete your outfit. Oh god, choices! Yes, vest! Vests! Vests are the best. It was a formal event after all, and you couldn't think of a better time to wear it. Vest, yes, very good. Vest, and... Oh god, there's so many choices. A vest, and... Too many choices. An anklet, oh my god. You know what? Fine, yeah. An anklet. You had to quickly remove your shoes to slip on the anklet before stepping back into the beginning. Yeah, we'll leave that on. Just to troll Cove. I think that's okay. If I'm wearing a vest, I should wear a tie, yeah. Liz took the item from your hands and helped tie it around your neck correctly. You stepped in front of the mirror when she was done, nodding in approval. And that was everything. And with that, you were ready to go. Finally, you were dressed. It had all come together. Okay, just gotta change my shirt and then I'll be at the car. See you in a minute. When you looked at Liz again, she had a goofy smile pulling at her lips. Aw, she's being nice to me. You look very nice, Lewis. Now you're talking like our moms. You stuck out your tongue and scrunched your nose. When did Liz get so matronly? Her eyebrows dipped at the statement, and she smirked with arms folded. They did raise me. She had a point there. Liz wiped a pretend tear away with her finger, sniffling dramatically. Oh, precious Lewis. You're really all grown up. It happened in the blink of an eye when I wasn't even looking. Now you're really starting to sound like our parents. Liz chuckled to herself, nudging you towards the door. Oh... Alright, time to get downstairs. Your special boy awaits. Okay. You carefully headed down the stairs and into the living room, where your moms were waiting for your appearance. As you entered, they both stood from the couch and came over to you, smiling broadly. You look so wonderful, Lewis.
Nice.
And very mature, too. I know, right? They continued to coo and fuss over you until you managed to brush them off. Ma took Mom by the arm and held her close, the two of them admiring you proudly. Yeah, of course we enjoyed it. How do you like my outfit? Another round of praise began and you smiled happily to yourself. It was nice being so lauded. Ma came in to give you one last hug, and before you knew it, another pair of arms was wrapped around you, and then a third. Both Mom and Liz giggled as they hugged you tight. We hope you have so much fun tonight.
Have fun.
We won't wait up for you. Stay out as long as you need. You're old enough now. Yeah, I'm a literal adult now, Mom. Stay out as long as I want. With a last wave goodbye, you left your family and approached the front door. It was time. Stepping out into the night, you closed the door behind you gently and looked out across the street. Oh, look at that boy. Cove was standing there in the street. His eyes met yours immediately, as if he had been watching your house for the moment you would come out. He smiled bashfully. Hey, Lewis. Hey, I hope you're ready to do this. You took the chance to check over his outfit as he walked across the way to meet you. It was formal for sure, though didn't feel overly posh. It made sense for him, it was honestly a sight for sore eyes. He was always beautiful to you. Aww. So cute. An adult in name, LMAO. He looked you over as well, a subtle blush creeping over his face as he quickly cleared his throat and averted his gaze. He seemed to be struggling to find something to say, rubbing at the exposed part of his arm awkwardly. Thank you for coming with me, and for dressing really nicely for this. Your outfit, it's good. Better than good, really. Great, I guess? Something else? So, yeah. These two are such a mess. I just really like the way you look, platonically, as my best friend. Yeah. His gaze traveled downward to take in your full form. Ooh, Cove. And he suddenly oh no, he saw it. His eyes widening on what you were sure was the tasteful anklet peeking up from above your shoes. Cove turned his very red face away from you and you peered at him adoringly as he mumbled to himself. Oh my god. As you imagined, the choice of accessory had him fully flustered. You knew how he felt about them, and he clearly knew that you knew how he felt about them. The purposefulness of teasing him this way likely had an even bigger impact than seeing you in the anklet. You started to wonder if it was a good idea after all, Cove acting like that was killing you. Cove acting like that was killing you, and you hadn't even started the trip to the dinner yet. It took a great amount of effort to focus your thoughts and react to his overall assessment to your look. You're so hot right now. Thank you. You were relieved that your outfit had his seal of approval. Now, I want to say he looks nice too, actually. You look very nice too. You glanced over him from head to toe, noting that his shirt, pants, and shoes were all shiny and new. Very nice indeed. He ducked his head a little to hide his expression, but you didn't need to see it to know he was pleased that you had said so. Thanks. Then he shook his head, glanced back towards the garage, and throwing a thumb over his shoulder, spoke. Come on. We should probably get going. Wouldn't want to be late to such a grown-up event, right? Yeah, let's go. You headed over to Cove's car together, hopping in and strapping on your seatbelts. You were on your way. Oh boy. The event was being held at a place you'd never been to before. You brought up the location on your phone to help Cove navigate there. It took some time to find the right address, and once there, you were met with the task of finding a parking spot. God, how long has it been since I've had to find a parking spot for something? That's something I didn't even think about. Oh god. Weird. Though you were on time, it seemed like everyone else had already showed up and claimed the spaces. Eventually, you found a suitable place before realizing that it required payment. Cove covered the amount, taking a ticket from the machine and leaving it on the dashboard of the car. Now that's something I haven't done in a long time. Despite the small holdup, you managed to ultimately make it to the event and confirm you were on the guest list before being shown into the dining area. Oh, look at the big fish walls. Yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, this place looks so neat. Cove whistled low as he looked around, taking in the extravagance of the room. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and the entire place was decked out with beautiful oceanic displays. You were stunned yourself. It was extremely high class, even more so than you had already expected. This is the best looking event I've ever been to. This is the best looking event I've ever been to. Your lips parted in a wondrous smile as you took in the decorations and the guests all dressed to the nines. Cove met your eyes with a similar look on his face. You got the impression that he felt the same way about it all. Look at the big fish walls, Kelvin Joyle 2021. Yeah, so what? I did say that. Fight me. I want to go to a place with big fish walls. The sound of your names being called out echoed over the din in the room. When you looked around, you recognized a couple of the organization leaders looking your way. They approached you both in greeting, giving you a welcoming smile and a hello. Oh, I said I was going to do my impression of you if we got another person, right, Alex? Oh, God. What do you sound like? Hold on, why can't I... Okay. I can't think of how to do your voice. Oh my god. Okay. Cove, Lewis, we're glad to see you could make it, especially after all the hard work you've done to make this night happen. I can't. I don't know how to do your voice. I'm sorry, Alex. All I can hear is you being like, no. And that's it. That's the only voice thing I can hear. And I'm like, how am I supposed to make a voice out of just no? Cal, I want to go to a place with big fish wall, me and aquarium. Shut up. Fish walls. That's what they're called. What kind of a friend are you? Fight me. You come in here and you do a me voice then. See how you like it. Definitely. I wasn't gonna miss it. Hi. Just a hi. You say this as if we had a choice. I wouldn't miss it either. This is our big night. Of course we had to see what we were working towards. Well, thank you for being a part of the team. You're always welcome to help us out with activities whenever they come up. Thank you. Cove shrugged then, eyes darting around the place with an awkward look. So... I guess we should talk to more people? There isn't much else to do at an event like this. I'll just do a Jeremy impression. I'm holding you to that now. I want to hear your Jeremy impression. Absolutely. I am holding you to that. One of these days, I will hear your Jeremy impression. You found your way into groups of people who were standing around chatting while some light music played in the background. Servers with large silver trays were gliding between the guests, offering drinks and... canapes? I've never seen that word before. Cove approached various people as you wound your way through the guests. He managed broaching new conversations well. You were enjoying talking to so many different people, both guests and members of the organization alike, and found yourself enjoying the company. The sound of a microphone crackling came from the podium at the other end of the room. Someone who you assumed must be the host for the evening was asking everyone to sit down in preparation for the meal and speeches. You and Cove looked for your table, finding it easily enough by the little name cards that were placed delicately beside the napkins. A few others joined you at the table, though they weren't anyone that you recognized. The host was still speaking as people were settling, starting off the speeches by giving a welcome to everyone attending. She went on to provide more information about Orca, which you supposed was for the guests who weren't a part of the organization, and the purpose of the fundraiser tonight. Orca's goals, as she explained it, were to aid in the conservation and restoration of oceans and beaches. There were many people who had helped to make the group as successful as it was. When she read off a list of several volunteers who worked on making the event happen, Cove's name was one of the first to come up. His chest puffed out in pride at that. Your name then came up a little further down the list. You were smiling from ear to ear at the mention. As she continued on to thank the large donors for the event, you checked over at Cove. He was still grinning happily to himself and tapping his fingers over the tops of his knees, pretty pleased to have been mentioned by name. You were excited for him. He had worked so hard to make this event happen. It was the least that he deserved. While the host continued speaking, multiple servers dressed in black were settling the first course of the menu in front of guests. One of the servers set down a plate in front of you, and you thanked them quietly, before looking over the dish with interest. You recognize the dish as a simple Caesar salad. Caesar salad, I could go for one of those. The host quickly wrapped up the end of her speech, thanking everyone once more before inviting you all to begin your meal. Anyone who had included a special dietary note when signing up for the event received a vegan or vegetarian version, and there were also small baskets of bread set around the table. I ate both, obviously. Cove wolfed down his salad before munching into a breadstick, quickly devouring that as well. I hope the next part comes out soon and is bigger. You could hear him mumbling to himself as he reached over for another piece of bread. Mood! This boy is a mood. He glanced around the table and you followed his line of sight with curiosity, noting that everyone else was still eating the salad. Stopping his hand mid-air, he quickly pulled back and rested it on his lap without taking another breadstick after all. It was clear that he was starting to feel unsure of himself, and he looked a little out of place here. He folded his arms and turned away from them to you. Hey, did you like the salad? It was too small. I'm still pretty hungry. Yeah, me too. His gaze remained purposely tunneled on you, as if he was trying not to even think about what the rest of the table might be doing. Oh, baby. You discreetly flipped the other guests off. Oh my god. No. I want to be immature and just make silly faces at him. You discreetly flipped the other guests off. That's so juvenile. Yeah, I made silly faces at him. With everyone else looking down at their plates, you took the chance to stick out your tongue, grimace, and any other ridiculous thing you might have done to Liz at your table at home. Cove snorted with laughter before abruptly slapping a hand over his mouth. His eyebrows turned upward in both amusement and embarrassment as his shoulders continued shaking with his laughter. You quickly made your face blank when the other guests turned your way, pretending that nothing had happened at all. You received some strange looks, but at least it had managed to cheer Cove up. It wasn't much longer until the main course was arriving, and the various chicken, steak, and veggie dishes were being served throughout the room. An array of scents wafted through the room, making your mouth water. I had chosen... Well, we're out somewhere fancy. Yeah, give me the steak. It was nice that you had been given the option of how you liked your steak cooked, and the meal on the plate in front of you seemed perfectly to your taste. Cove had gone for the steak, and once he started to dig in, he was absolutely absorbed by his meal. You're gonna choke if you keep inhaling your food like that. You kicked him under the table, teasingly. You focused on your own food. It was going to be a full evening, so you wanted to try eating something while you could. Dinner eventually ended, and last of all was dessert. The best part. A lemon sorbet that had been partially dyed blue. The mix of white with bold streaks of blue made the little scoop look like a ball of rearing ocean waves. The effect was very pretty, but the serving size was small. Perhaps it was the price to pay for artistry. You turned to Cove to find him pouting a little at the size of it. Digging into the dessert, it only took him a few bites to polish it off. Again, the other people around the table had barely even begun eating. An unimpressed air settled over him, and he sat back in his chair, sipping at his water unhappily. Oh. We can get more dessert later. You gave him an encouraging smile. He looked up at you sheepishly, embarrassed to have been caught sulking over such a thing. He fumbled for a defense. It was just really good, that's all. And now it's gone. But I'm okay. With a slight grin, he shrugged to show that he was really fine. Would you like a bite of mine? You scooped up a spoonful of your sorbet and offered it to him, holding a hand beneath it to avoid any drips. His eyes widened as he eyed the dessert hungrily, surprised by the offer. Recovering quickly, he leaned forward over the table, lifting out of the chair a little as he ate the treat from your spoon. As he sat back, humming happily with his mouth full, you couldn't help but smile at the sight. Cove swallowed the faux ocean and let out a satisfied sigh. Even though it wasn't that much more, the simple fact that he'd gotten more hit the spot. Thanks, Lewis. You're welcome. You thought back on the way he used to be so terrified of sampling food that was yours, and now he hardly batted an eye. He's sulking over dessert. Yes, I would too. Dessert is the best part, man. It was always amazing when you were struck with how he'd grown, and how he'd stayed the same. Another person from Orca got up on stage to make a speech as everyone was nearing the end of their meal. They spoke mostly about the individual projects that the organization was working on and their plans for the near future, as well as encouraging anyone who was interested to consider volunteering. Cove bent forward over the table with his chin balanced on a hand, listening attentively to the words. As they came to a conclusion and everyone gave them a round of applause, Cove caught your eye and smiled. You wondered what would happen now. And then the lights dimmed. Oh, a couple of spotlights came on, projecting a water light effect around the room. The guests gushed over the ambiance, and you looked around with wide eyes at the ripples on the walls. The DJ that had previously been playing some soft mood music in the background announced that the floor was open for dancing, slowly turning the volume up so it drifted through the space. When you glanced at Cove, his eyebrows had shot up, and he mumbled quietly. Oh, you could see the light pattern on him. That's cute. I didn't know there would be dancing. I guess it makes sense now that I think about it. He gave an awkward laugh as you both watched as people rose from their seats. It was clear now that many of the donors were couples. Oh. A small crowd had started to form on the dance floor, and the DJ played a romantic song to get everyone started off. Let's see how the best bros do. Cove let his gaze float over the small sea of guests, and he seemed lost in thought. A serious expression had settled on his face, making his eyebrows dip. Slowly, he turned to you as though there was something cautious in his approach. Would you want to dance with me? I was just going to ask you the same thing. He let out a stuttering laugh, relieved. Oh, that's good. He nodded firmly as he rose from his seat, though you noticed his hands shaking at his sides. Baby, please. You walked out onto the floor together, hesitating a little when you turned and stood face to face. Cove had a hard time meeting your eyes, but he lifted a hand for you to take, unsure of what else he was meant to do. You accepted his hand easily and gave him an encouraging smile. It took some doing, but amidst your nervous laughter, you managed to find a comfortable enough position and set a rhythm to the music. It was quite nice after that. Every time your eyes met Cove's, he would look away quickly, but he seemed to be enjoying the dance nonetheless. Eventually, he felt comfortable enough to speak. A lot has happened, huh? You nodded faintly. You weren't sure if he meant just today, this summer, or your entire time knowing each other. But it didn't really matter. It was true anyway. Thinking back on the years that you and Cove had been neighbors, it was difficult to even try to reflect on it all at once.
I'm so glad.
I'm glad we ended up here. Best bros do a best bros dance. Exactly. Two bros dancing on the dance floor, 5 feet apart because they're just bros. If Cove looked away every time their eyes met, it's that thing you do where you're like, I want to look at them, but shit, they're looking at me. I was looking behind you. He gave you a soft look and you beamed, knowing that could also mean many things. But from his tone, you were certain he didn't only mean here at this event. It was more than that. Best bros level. I think we have to tell your dad thanks. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. The party eventually started to wind down, and at last it came to an end. When the main lights turned on, you blinked against the brightness of them, making sure you still had Cove in your sights. One final speaker came up to the podium on the stage, thanking all the guests for coming and wishing everyone a good night. It was bittersweet to see it come to a close. Your time with Cove here was precious. At least the memories could be brought with you. Giving the space one more look, you walked together with Cove out to the parking lot. The other guests were doing the same, so you got stuck in a bit of a crowd, though Cove was so tall you could always see him, and it was easy enough not to get separated. The parking lot itself was quite big, and even more noticeable now with fewer cars blocking the view. It looked suspiciously like the parking lot from the crepe shop, and the parking lot from the movie theater. But we wouldn't know anything about that. I'm being an ass. There's no reason for them to draw different parking lots. It's a goddamn parking lot. It took a little while to actually locate Ko's car across its expanse. Eventually you found it, and the two of you bundled inside the vehicle and buckled up. The trip home was quiet as you both silently reflected back on the experience. The event had been the biggest night of the year for Orca, and now it was all over, just like that. Outside your window, the surroundings soon became familiar, and you found yourselves back in your neighborhood. Cove pulled the car into his driveway and put it in park before letting out a relieved breath. Home sweet home. Yeah. After climbing out of the car, you walked slowly down the road, Cove coming over to stand beside you. You stopped in the middle of the street right between your house and his and turned to him, finding him in the process of opening his mouth to speak. Strangely, he clamped his lips together as though he had suddenly thought better of it. We only have one parking lot. Yeah, exactly. Everything out of town is just really close together, that's all. Thank you for taking me tonight. Thanks for coming with me. You gave him a friendly nudge. Of course we stepped in for a hug. You went forward and wrapped your arms around him, and he returned the gesture, squeezing tight. These best bros. Night, Lewis. With a last wispy smile, he left towards his front door. Figuring you shouldn't linger in the street for much longer, you crossed the remainder of the road and did the same. When you reached your house, you pulled out your keys and stuck them in the door, trying your best to be silent about it. Opening the door a crack, you turned back and looked at Cove from over your shoulder. Your eyebrows lifted in surprise to see he was doing the same, holding his front door open but waiting for you to go inside before he did. You shared an amused smile before you both stepped into your own houses, locking the door behind you. It was quite late, so everyone else was already asleep. As quiet as a mouse, you tiptoed up to your bedroom and changed out of your formal clothes into your pajamas. Now that you were finally home, you were exhausted. You brushed your teeth and got ready for bed in darkness before crawling under the covers and letting out a heavy breath. It was still strange to think about how that was it. The build-up to the event had felt like so much, and now it was completely behind you. Your mind was busy with rapid yet muddled thoughts as you faded closer and closer to sleep. As unconsciousness creeped up on you, you felt more content. It was a big deal, but there would be more in the future. You could accept what it had been, and you could dream about what you'd get to experience next. Oh, I thought that would be it. Okay. And then you were taken away from dreams right back into reality by a sound. Nani? What is this? Your eyebrows pinched together, fully unprepared to be a part of the waking world again. The day was over, and it had been an eventful one. But you heard another noise. It was a tapping. Your eyes flew open. The window. There was a tapping that came from your window. Oh, God. Cole Bolden. Excuse me. You went over to let the guy in. Yeah, you went over to let the guy in. You extricated yourself from your bed, yawning. You stretched your arms and then made your way to the window. There was another tap right before you arrived. When you pulled it wide open, Cove was indeed there. God, can you imagine the horror scenario if you went and opened your window and it wasn't Cove at the window? Our life horror game, make it happen. You had not been surprised to find Cove awkwardly crouched on your window ledge. However, you were taken aback to see that he was a little overdressed. Cove hadn't changed out of his formal clothes. You also noticed that he was perched clumsily. You didn't know if it was because he was trying to keep his fancy clothes clean or if he felt weird about something. His body was too stiff and awkward. Cove smiled sheepishly. Hi, Lewis. Cove, why are you here? It's nice to see you, Romeo. You moved aside and let him climb inside. He cautiously stepped down by stretching his legs over. Strangely, he didn't use his hands for support. It was clear to you now. He was holding something. When he was safely on his feet, he briefly checked out his clothes, twisting around to see the back of his pants. He caught you looking at his butt, or, never mind, and shrugged.
I mean...
I did go home after the event, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to settle down, so I just walked back out. I needed fresh air and time away from everything. He paused for a moment and raised his clasped hands together where you could see them. But then something happened, and, well, so I have something I want to show you. Cove grinned like a child and gently unfurled his fingers, not being able to keep you in suspense for even a moment. Aww. He found a firefly. I wouldn't open the window. Our life but XOXO blood droplet style. Carefully sitting inside was a tiny yellow light. It blinked off and then on again. A firefly. Delicately, he moved his hand closer so you could see the creature better. They're back. He closed his eyes, his smile now faintly illuminated by his insect companion. Honestly, I didn't think I'd see them this year. I don't know why, it's just they were kind of late, and I guess I've been worrying about a lot of stuff lately. You could tell that the firefly genuinely lifted his spirits. He seemed at peace, and he wanted to share that with you. The fact that his first thought after discovering the fireflies, oh my god, I can't speak, was to come over and celebrate the joy with you made you suddenly feel very cherished. Cove opened his eyes, but he looked away, not meeting yours.
It's nice.
It's really nice, I think. Even if the fireflies disappear for a while, it doesn't mean they're really gone. They'll come back, and I can see them again. You smiled. And then you looked at the firefly keenly. There was definitely something poetic about them. You felt a warmth in your heart. Cove looked at your face, his smile now fragile. It makes me think about the two of us. We're together, then we say goodbye, and then we're together again. Day after day, year after year, and even if our time apart gets longer, that doesn't make it forever. Lewis, I'll always be there, whenever you want to see me. Ah! Ah! You wanted to be with him. There was nothing else you wanted, and he needed to know. Oh, no. Wait, is this my opportunity to confess to him? Oh, no. Well, Lewis is too stupid to do that, so there's no way he would figure that out. But he absolutely would be a little baby and just go, Cove. I'll always be there for you, too. You teared up. Your eyes suddenly watered, and you tried to contain your wave of emotion. Cove chuckled shyly and rubbed his cheek. The firefly suddenly flew off, blinking once and then twice as it looked for another perch. It went dark, and then you saw it reappear outside your still-open window. Cove didn't seem to mind. Cove looked at you, affection plain in his face. Hey, do you want to go out to the hill? Fireflies are still there. Yeah. Cove brightened. He was practically bouncing at the thought of a secret excursion before he suddenly became bashful.
So...
how should we leave? We could just try the door. We don't have to do the window thing, but maybe that'd bother your family? You both chuckled at how awkward it would be if your moms, or worse, Liz, saw you going on a midnight firefly catching trip. You'd be sure to avoid that. You could leave from your window. It's fine. Let's go through the window. Cove nodded in understanding. You grabbed some shoes and readied yourself for an adventure. You were glad that there was no way you'd run into another soul out there. Cove would be way overdressed, and you were still in your jammies. Yeah, we're quite a couple right now. You let Cove go first. He stepped back onto the ledge as you carefully followed. He shuffled along, and soon you reached the garage. You planned to use the fence from there to reach the ground. Cove climbed down to the fence. He wobbled once, but he made it without an issue. He leaned against the fence and projected hushed words up to where you were waiting.
Are you okay?
Do you want help? No, I'm good. I'm an independent boy. You reached the ground with ease. It wasn't difficult, especially with the fence there to help you. Cove gave you an encouraging smile, but neither of you risked speaking yet. You briskly snuck behind the house and up to the old white poppy hill. And Cove was right. The entire hill was lit up, insects twinkling here and there with their pale yellow light. Cove let out a contented sigh, finally able to relax in full. He strode further up the hill to better enjoy the view. You walked along as well, letting yourself be surrounded by the twinkling display. Then, without warning, Cove plopped onto his back. He paid no mind to smacking his formal attire in the grass. He put an arm under his head and stretched the rest of his limbs out. He was clearly getting quite comfortable in the dirt there. You laid down in the grass. You sat down first and then fell back. You could see the stars when you looked up at the night sky. I wonder if Dad'll be mad about the grass stains. You're wearing all black, so I'll say probably not. I think you're good. He tugged at the collar of his shirt. He didn't sound concerned, just idly curious. Maybe you should figure out how to clean it before he finds out. His smile bent a little, and it went silent between you. The only sounds were the rustling of bugs in the breeze and the faraway crashes of waves on the sea. You challenged him to a rolling race down the hill. Yeah, maybe not. You asked Cove to dance with you. Aw. Cute. Yeah, you asked Cove to dance with you. Hey, Cove. You like dancing? Cove stared at you in shock at the invitation. Understandably, he had not expected that. You felt obligated to try to say more. It makes sense. Look at how you're dressed. I think I want to dance with you again, before it's over. His mouth fell open a little. You could tell he recognized your words. He had used the same on you many years ago. His eyebrows crinkled and he smiled, speechless. You got up and brushed off your clothes as best you could. A pesky blade of grass tried to stay stuck to your leg. Cove did likewise, wiping his hands on his pants to clean them off. You faced across at each other, and suddenly the prospect of what you were doing became more real. Cove hesitated a moment as you both tried to decide what move to make now. He nervously wrapped an arm around your back and carefully took your other hand in his own. He pulled in a deep breath, and you couldn't help but notice just how close the two of you were. Then you began to sway together amid the floating lights. Despite the lack of music, you found a rhythm to your movements. Back and forth, step to the side and slide. It was relaxed and freeing. Your eyes never strayed from one another. For a time, you just existed in the moment, holding each other close and enjoying being together. The hour grew late, and the fireflies mostly dispersed until only a few stragglers remained. Then even they blinked out of sight, leaving you alone with Cove and your thoughts. It felt as though this was a night that would never end, but you knew it would have to, all too soon. You were only grateful to have been a part of it. These were moments to treasure, and you already knew you'd be remembering them for a very long time. Aww. That's so cute. I wonder if we could have confessed to Cove there, but like, yeah, no, there's no way that Lewis would be the one to confess to him. He's too stupid to do that. One more PJ, another more formal clothes. It's great, it's great, it's great. Well, that means we only have one thing left to do, and then the summer ended. How long have I been streaming for? It's been an hour. Do I risk it? Do I risk it and go for it? You know what? Sure, let's go for it. If it goes a bit too long, then I'll save in between, I guess, and we can finish it next stream. But I'm too curious. I want to know if Cove confesses to him. So screw it. We'll start it. We'll just go for it. And then the summer ended. Moths bounced against your window, attracted by the light of your room. A siren call in the slowly darkening sky. Just as the day was coming to an end, so too would summer. Liz would be moving back into the dorms before long. Luckily, Lee had been able to come stay for a short trip before her own new journey began. She'd officially been accepted into her first choice college a few weeks ago. This was her last chance to see you all in person for... You flicked through the plans for the next few months, realizing that you didn't even know when you'd next have the opportunity for everyone to be in the same place again. It was hard to think that you'd be seeing even less of your cousin going forward, but you were delighted that she was pursuing her dreams. While you were still with each other, your family was going to have dinner together. As ever, the Holdens were tagging along too. Ooh. That tropical place? I don't know what that is, but sure, your destination was that tropical place. You hadn't really discovered the tropical restaurant until you were a bit older, but everyone's enthusiasm had resulted in so many visits that you'd more than made up for lost time. Liz and Lee were excited to squeeze in another trip before setting off again. Technically, you were getting ready to go out, though your mind was only half on the task. It was a pleasantly warm evening, the kind that epitomized the vacation feeling, and you were in no mood to spoil it by rushing around. It was strange to think that summer was coming to an end, yet you wouldn't be returning to school. Mood. That pattern had been in place for as long as you could remember, and had come to feel like a natural rhythm, as inescapable as the coming of the tide. This was the first time that you were going to be able to set your own tune. Whatever came next was entirely up to you. You were nervous, but ready. Breaking from the structure of the old routine was scary, you could admit that, yet you didn't want to be a child forever. You were going to hold your head up high and face the future. Mom called up from downstairs, tearing you from your thoughts as she told you it was time to head off. You raced downstairs, looking forward to the evening. Everyone piled into the car. While it was marketed as being suitable to hold 5 people, in practice it made for a very tight fit. Your mom sitting in the front were fine. You, Liz, and Lee were squished into the back. Lee in the middle, wedged between you and your sister. But Mom was an excellent timekeeper. Thanks to her efforts, you pulled up near the restaurant on time. The process of getting out of the car was slightly easier than squeezing into it, with much less coordination required to release seatbelts than to secure them. You gave Lee a hand as she clambered out from the middle seat, then headed into the building as a group. A waiter greeted you as you entered. Ma let him know how many of you there would be in total, and he went to arrange a table that met your needs. He returned promptly to guide you to your seats. You perched comfortably in your chair, your head held aloft as if buoyed by today's good fortune. Your family settled down around you, all cheerful and looking forward to the evening ahead. Your drinks orders had just been taken when the Holdens came through the door. They were pointed in your direction, though with Mom waving an arm in the air, it was hardly necessary. Cove and Mr. Holden came to join you at the table. As greetings were being exchanged, Cove took a seat opposite to you. It had been left empty by unspoken acknowledgement that you and Cove would be wanting to sit together. Of course. Mr. Holden sat beside him.
Hi.
It's great to see you. Glad you could make it. Hello, everyone. You would not believe how hungry I am.
I see.
You came to the right place, then. There was some laughter, though Liz groaned playfully, shaking her head at Mom's sense of humor. Growing up, she'd have complained, and Mom would have responded by making another comment. Liz had mellowed out over the years, but she still made a show of despairing at Mom's jokes. Her reaction to them had become a joke in its own right. Menus were soon passed around, and a temporary hush fell over the table as everyone read. It didn't last long, punctured by comments about what people had eaten here before and light chatter about what people were considering tonight. Once the waiter had disappeared with your orders, Cliff piped up.
Okay.
So I've got some good news. Kyra's making a trip out here tomorrow. Cove nodded, turning from his father to the rest of the table. Yeah, we talked about it and figured this was a good time for everyone.
Very nice.
That's great! Everyone reacted positively to the news, though Ma looked wistful.
It's a shame.
If only we'd known. Here we are having a big meal without her. If we'd waited one day, she could have joined us. Mom patted Ma on the back, gently nudging her from the realm of possibilities and what-ifs and back to the evening that was going so well. Chin up. Lee and Liz will still be here tomorrow. We'll just have to throw another get-together and keep the fun train chugging along. Ma smiled warmly, taking Mom's hand in hers. Aww. That's true. There's plenty to celebrate right now, but there will be more good news and good times on the horizon.
Right.
Of course the bestest bros want to sit together. Naturally. Right, and speaking of that, that's not all we've got either. Mr. Holden's eyes were alight as he sat up straight in his chair, face angled towards his son. He barely let a beat go by before nudging Cove with his elbow, pushing him to follow up on the announcement. He was the very picture of a proud papa. Cove shied from the limelight, ducking his head down and staring at his lap as he spoke. Well, it's just I've switched over to working full-time instead of only part-time. Plus, I've been looking at apartments. There's a few I can choose from. He flicked his gaze up at everyone around the table, a smile creeping over his face. I'll be pretty busy going forward. Apartments? He was moving. Oh no. Cove was going to move out of his dad's house. After 10 years, he wasn't going to be your neighbor anymore. Oh no! Mr. Holden gripped one of Cove's shoulders and gave it a loving shake. His excitement couldn't be contained. Incredible. Cove's actually going to make it to adulthood. It's a miracle. Mr. Holden leaned back in his chair, staring up at the ceiling in mock wonder.
I'm so glad.
I wasn't convinced I'd be able to rear a kid all the way to this point, but thankfully I lucked out and got the best boy a dad could have asked for. Dad. Cove blinkered his vision with his hands on the side of his face, temporarily blocking his father from sight. Despite his genuine bashfulness, which left him unable to meet anyone's eyes after all the attention thrust his way, he was happy. Thanks. I was really lucky, too. You're a good dad. Aww. Aw, come here. Mr. Holden threw an arm around Cove's neck, pulling him into as close of a hug as the seating allowed. He rubbed his cheek on top of his son's head while Cove chuckled, accepting the affection with good humor. You looked around at the faces of the company here. You'd been on this journey with everyone here for years, seen them falter and grow, and they had watched you through the same. Cove was leaving his family home. Liz was heading back to college while Lee was starting at hers. You were staying close, but it was clear you were all heading in different directions, to different destinations. Some near and some far, but it wouldn't be long until you were all going your own way. It was bittersweet. You turned your head to the side, wistful, not wanting to spoil the evening with your troubles. You were glad that everyone was succeeding, but the idea of splitting up gave you a twinge of regret. These people had been key pillars in your life. Days ahead without them, no matter how bright and sunny, still felt a little empty, like a theme park after closing time. But you focused your mind on the sweet side. New adventures were still ahead, and you could encourage that optimism. Cove brought some attention to himself with a clearing of his throat and a small interjection. I'm gonna stretch my legs while we're waiting for the food and everything.
Sure.
Sure thing, bud. With a tiny smile, he nodded at his dad, but the lightness of his expression faded when he moved to face you. Wanna come? He was attempting to be subtle, but there was very obviously something on his mind. Something he wanted to talk to you about alone. Is this it? Is he gonna do it? You watched him with concern as you rose from your seat. Yeah, I'll go. Take care. With those parting words, the two of you walked about the place. He was trying to get as far away from everyone else as possible without actually exiting the building. What did you need to say? He hadn't admitted what this was about, but he didn't need to. Cove started pulling on the hem of his shirt. He turned his head back to face you, but it was an awkward movement. Well, oh dang it, this isn't it. Okay, never mind. I wanted to talk to you one-on-one about all this. You know, my work, moving. I mean, it was coming before, but now it's pretty much here. Yeah, it's exciting. Cove stopped picking at his shirt, and he seemed to respond well to that response. He was relieved you weren't upset about it. I'm glad you think so. But then he looked down, and his brows furrowed. You saw his hand shift away from his clothes to instead rub at his arm. Are you looking forward to it? I am. Well, I'm trying to be. He ducked his head further, and you saw his face start to redden. But it's scary. I don't want things to end. So you're saying we're going to dress up as the future for Halloween? Come on, you don't need to worry. It may be scary now, but it'll be worth it. I sure hope so. Cove then turned his head away and wrapped his arms around himself. He felt a sudden chill that definitely wasn't caused by the air conditioner. I was just thinking, are we really gonna stay friends? You know, best bros? Platonic buds? His words came out hesitantly. He didn't want to ask this. He didn't want to know. I'm not just talking about today, but forever. Always. Our life. Forever and always. Even if things change later, right now, do you feel we can make it? Or do you think we can't last? That one day we'll have to move on? You got mad at him for this. How fucking dare you question the strength of our bro bond? How could you? You kept calm. You understood his concern. It was definitely hard to imagine what would happen. However, you didn't let yourself get upset. We'll make sure we always are. I want it to be forever. You thought about the future and how unsure it was. You couldn't know what was to come. However, there was one thing that you did know, and that was how much you cared about him. Cove laughed with a delicate smile on his face. Okay, you win. I wanted to prepare myself for the horrifying unknown, but you're kind of giving me no choice but to be optimistic here. His eyes sparkled with mischief. Strong armor. That's right. Oh no, I can't believe you're being forced to have hope about life. His lips twitched up at your sarcasm.
Right?
I know, how am I going to get past this? He gave a small smile, then stopped joking around. Thanks for listening to me, Lewis. It helped. You felt pleased that his anxiety had eased after talking it out. How dare you question our bro bond? Gove watched you with affection written plainly across his face. Lewis, you're just so... Well, his eyes darted to the table full of your families. He was getting uneasy again. Oh, but he seemed determined when his gaze came back to you. Could we talk again? Even further away? Like, outside? Oh, boy. Boys, here we go. Here we go. You were intrigued and nodded at his words. Lewis be like, what could this be about? Does he have another job that he's going to tell me about? Head empty, no thoughts. We can go. Thanks. It's important to me. Lewis is like, I get it. You want to ask me what my plans are for after this is all over so we can make sure that we can continue being bros. With that, you left the restaurant and went out onto the sidewalk. A couple cars drove by on the main street and the breeze hit your face. Cove prepared himself to speak his mind. Oh boy, here we go. This is what I was waiting for. Whatever else he wanted to say after that was trapped in his throat. You watched patiently as his mouth slowly closed moments after nothing else followed. Cove took a deep breath, then another. His gaze clung onto you, laser-focused. There's something I wanted to tell you about. About something that I've realized. His voice shook, and there was no mistaking the fear in his blue eyes. Goosebumps broke out across your skin, and you subconsciously started wiping your sweaty palms on the side of your hip. Ugh. Oh god, is he gonna ask to be best bros?
Well...
But I haven't said it. I'm not very good at talking about this. Your chest was sore from how hard your heart was beating, but it continued to drum faster and faster. The world around you seemed to slow as you realized Cove was waiting for you to say something. Please, I'd like to know. Despite your stomach twisting itself into a pretzel from nerve, you needed to know what Cove was struggling to tell you and what about it was so important. Because clearly, I still can't tell what it is. Oh no. Gal, stop. I can't. This is Lewis's truth. He's oblivious as a rock. The look in his eyes softened and the corners of his mouth pulled into a small smile. His expression hardened, his hands balled up into fists. Lewis. He said your name boldly, but then his confidence faltered as he stared deeper into your eyes. Only a squeak came out next. Lewis, He frowned wobblily, and his face became a dark red. It was plain on his face that his nerves were spiraling. Then Cove froze completely. Oh no, Cove! You waited for him to compose himself. Instead, he crumpled forward, burying his face in his hands. He can't do it. Oh, not yet, you realized, feeling disappointed. Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Cove continued to hang his head in defeat, and you knew it would take at least one more chance for him. He started on his way, but it was always a struggle for Cove to fully take that next step. Oh, I understand. You tried not to give away the disappointment in your voice. Not that I know what I'm disappointed at, but you know. Cove didn't react at all. Seriously, it's okay. Awkwardly, you glanced back at the restaurant for a moment, finally remembering what had originally brought you to this place. We should probably go back inside, right? We've been out here a while. Oh, he couldn't do it, really? Oh, that's too bad. Cove continued to hide his face, and you just barely caught his meek nod. That was better than nothing. You started making your way over to the restaurant door. Within moments, you realized that you could only hear the sounds of your own steps on the pavement. You stopped and turned, seeing Cove standing in this same spot and position. Cove. Slowly, he lifted his head out of his hands. From a distance, you couldn't quite make out his expression. No. No, I can't. I'm not doing this. Oh. Finally, he moved. He approached you at a brisk pace, stumbling a bit. And when he got close enough, Cove dropped his hands on your shoulders. The determination had returned to his features, and he leaned his head down to look you in the eye. I'm always like this. I panic and I quit partway through. Don't cry, Cove, please. Boy, please. His voice shook a bit at the beginning, but as he lowered to a hushed tone, it evened out. A shiver shot down your spine as you watched tears well up in his eyes. I'm so scared of things changing and new stuff happening and just everything you have to deal with living a life. His voice cracked as he continued, though it didn't halt. But the worst of any of it is thinking about the future and not knowing if you'll be there. And I don't want to be afraid to say that. I don't want to be scared of anything that has to do with us. Not when it comes to you. You're the one who makes me less afraid. When something is horrible, you can make it better. When I feel alone, you're what lets me know I'm not. Sometimes I can't even remember what my life was before I moved here, before you were in it. I was so little and it was such a long time ago and it was so hard then. But I do remember those days when we were just kids running around the neighborhood. It was like my life had started over. It was a new beginning. And nothing feels more right than you being there. Not just back then, but always. As much as he tried willing and blinking the tears away, they won. Big tears bubbled and burst from his eyes, and they ran down his cheeks. Louis, I want to be with you. Boy! Oh yeah, no, fuck that third option. Absolutely not. Oh my god. He did it! He did it, boys! Louis be like, I didn't see this coming at all! So yeah, finally is not the option, but yes. I want to be with you too. The words came completely naturally. Your mouth pulled into a beaming smile that made you feel like it had a high chance of being permanent. There were probably a million moments or more over the years where you had looked at him and thought about saying it, but there was nothing stopping you anymore. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Louis has been crushing on him, so yeah, he probably has looked at Cove before and been like, man, I wish I could say I love you, but you clearly will never love me, ha 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 ha. So yeah, that's a fair assessment. I'm so proud of you, Cove, you did it. Oh. Cove's eyes widened and his breath hitched. You could feel his hands on your shoulders beginning to tremble. The way his expression twisted, you knew that he was struggling to put his thoughts in order. You wondered if he even believed the last few minutes actually happened. Is this really all right? Of course it is. And that was all he could muster in the tiniest whisper. but you knew the weight of those words. You had a long history, and this would change things. Yeah, literally like a decade of our lives. Your head tilted towards him as you stared at him fondly, feeling your skin burn hot and your heart beat a mile a minute in your chest. Of course it is. Cove let out a long, shaky breath. He still seemed to have difficulty believing he had spoken those words and that you had returned the feelings. Lewis, if you want me, can I be your boyfriend? Oh, so cute. That's so dumb and cute. I'd like that a lot. I can't think of anything I'd like more. His lips quirked into a hopeful smile, eyes still glistening. Aww. You can, because I want to be your boyfriend. You hugged him. You closed the distance between you and him, and wrapped Cove in a full embrace. You squeezed tight and rested your head near his heart. You could hear his pulse speed up, and he held you. He nuzzled his face against yours, and you felt warm. His eyes prickled with new tears, and he sniffled, but you could recognize equal joy taking over him. You both were happy, together. You were together and happy. God, this slow burn. The slowest of burns. Oh, Bagel, oh no. You're not getting notifs for these, what the fuck. Remember, it's always at the same time, Bagel. It's at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. You missed it. Cove finally confessed. The longest, slowest burn has finally happened. The obliviousness has been conquered. They did it. They're not just platonic bros anymore. Now they're romantic bros. You teared up as well. You blinked rapidly as tears welled up. You just couldn't stop them. Your joy refused to be contained. I'm a mountain time bitch. Cal, you ignorant. Just look it up. Just look up the time conversion and it'll be at whatever time 11 p.m. Central is. Every time. Then Cove reached up to caress your cheek delicately. He took a moment to simply cherish you. A peaceful smile grew on his face as his eyes sparkled. Ah, how cute. How non-platonic. Can I kiss you? As platonic bro. No. As romantic bros. Your jaw dropped. No matter what else had just happened, that was not a desire you expected Cove Holden to be capable of vocalizing. You were completely floored. Seeing your reaction made him realize exactly what he had done. He had seriously asked to kiss you. An intense blush covered every inch of his cheeks in absolute embarrassment, but he didn't take it back. No, you can't kiss me. That's too much. We just figured out we're not platonic bros. It's too... If Cal finished Our Life, what do you think he should stream next? I think Minecraft, LMAO. He just starts doing speedruns. Can I kiss you? Don't worry, I'm wearing socks. Yeah, exactly. That's how it's safe. Oh, y'all are already just voting for what's next. All right. Minecraft. I can definitely do Minecraft. Minecraft. Yeah. Honestly, I can do that for next stream. We'll see how that goes. But for now, though, we still gotta finish this. There's a couple other games I have in mind as well. Like maybe I could play Danganronpa, or there was a game that I know just came out a little while ago. I think it's called Omori, which I had heard interesting things about. So there's a couple things, but I'd be down to play Minecraft. We'll see. Can I kiss you? Don't worry, no homo. Yes, please do. You know what, Lewis? You be bold for once in your life. You kiss him! Unable to stop yourself, you pull him into a kiss. Shock initially froze him, but Cove didn't need encouragement from there. He kissed you in return, urgently. To him, if he didn't do it now, if he didn't take this chance, it was as though you'd slip away from him forever, and just go back to being platonic bros again. You knew this was right. Cove blinked rapidly when you parted, newly stunned, but it was only with amazement. What happened was shocking and unexpected, but he absolutely wanted to hold on to this new thing between you. He ducked his head with a childish giddiness and peeked out at you from the corner of his eyes. Thanks for giving me a chance to finally get it together and say this. Aw, you were worth it. For you, I would have waited forever. Well, I think the only correct thing is you've always done that for me, since, yeah, Lewis is just as oblivious. You've always done that for me. Lewis. Oh, we're gonna have to tell everybody about this when we go back, aren't we? Play Omori. Do what you want, Cal. We'll figure it out, we'll see. Yeah, I've been hearing good things about Omori as well, so I was curious about that one. So we'll put that on the list. And we'll put Minecraft on the list. Put them all on the list. I've got time. I don't plan on stopping streaming, so as long as y'all are still here to watch, I will continue playing. Alright. But yes, now we have to go tell our parents that we're now a couple. Yeah, exactly. No one is going to be surprised about this, Cove. Literally no one. I'm willing to bet that, like, everyone is going to be like, well, I would owe you all $20, except no one would be stupid enough to bet against these two becoming a couple, so... I don't think they'll be surprised. Yeah. No joke. He smiled at you with an unabashed preciousness. You figured that even without your history, if anyone caught Cove looking at you like that, it'd be obvious exactly how he felt. Ugh. His openness of character had some truly delightful benefits. You must have been making an expression equally as affectionate, because he began to fluster again. He made some stuttering chuckles and then quieted down, his mouth forcefully staying closed. You both took in a moment to process. After 10 years of being together, a whole goddamn decade, you were officially a couple now. Oh boy, even Cove knows. Deep down, even he knew all along. After all of that, you both finally made it back inside the restaurant. Cove was clearly nervous. Now that you were together, your families were going to have to hear about it. But with you by his side, he continued forward. You could feel eyes on you as you took your place at the table. Everyone's like, so, our food's been sitting here for, like, hours. Where have you two been? If Cal plays Minecraft, maybe I can play with him and bully him. Oh my god. We could do that. We can play together. Yeah. I have cool shaders in my Minecraft because I'm a cool kid, so it'd be very pretty. They didn't wait long to start asking if you were all right and what had happened. It didn't help that Cove's face flushed immediately over the attention. Out of the corner of your eye, you glanced at Cove, and your face betrayed you. It burned red hot with excitement. He was your boyfriend. And that only made your family want to pry more. Cove steeled his nerves and faced the small crowd. Well, the truth is, Lewis and I are... Grins were already beginning to appear around the table before he could muster the full explanation. He swallowed hard, stealing a glance at you. A couple now. We're dating, though we haven't gone on a date yet, exactly. It's just, I'm his boyfriend, so, yeah. Nailed it. Hell yeah. Cove stopped his rambling there with wide eyes. He waited tensely for a response. Mr. Holden was first to react, instantly slapping a hand over Cole's shoulder. His other hand smacked against his own chest over his heart, just like, BAP! You did it! That's amazing, Cove. Lewis, if you need anything, I am here. Don't hesitate to come to me for help. What help?
Well...
Son, I'm so happy for you and Lewis, of course. Just take care of yourselves. This is either heading toward the breakup of a lifetime or a wedding, and I will be there for either.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, Dad! Jesus Christ. Cove covered the side of his head that was facing Mr. Holden with a hand and sunk lower in his chair, in some desperate attempt to put distance between himself and his father's words. Meanwhile, the women in your family all burst into laughter. Oh my god. Cliff, please. Cliff, please. Do not. Pull back on the reins there, little Cliff. They're not ones to rush. It took them a decade to reach boyfriend status. Wow. Thanks, Mom. Real vote of confidence there.
Don't worry about it.
I don't think we need to start looking at venues yet. Exactly. This is wonderful news, and all we need to do is congratulate them on it. Lewis, Cove, I'm so glad for you both. I know you'll be happy together. We're rooting for you.
Yeah.
Yes, we are! Ah, this is so exciting! I knew you were meant for each other. Well, I called this one. I called it years ago. See, exactly. I should have made a real bet with someone, though I don't think anyone would have been dense enough to bet against it. Cove let himself fall forward, sticking himself to the table surface. There was no getting away from this. Oh, man. You were entirely thrilled with your relationship and the support for it. This was one of the best days of your life, bar none. Once the wave of family teasing and cooing passed, you were able to feel grateful for both families' encouragement. It made you happy, knowing just how loved you were. Oh my gosh. This is so... Oh my god. I'm proud of them. 10 years in the making, and they finally managed to move on to romantic bro status. Night fell soon after everyone finished their meals, and before you knew it, you were standing in the parking lot, saying your goodbyes and packing up the cars to go home. After the last of the chores were done, your family spent some more time together. The rest of the night felt like it was going by in a blink of an eye, and somehow the time came to retire to your room to sleep. You pulled your covers up under your chin and settled down for the night, getting warm and cozy. As your head sank into your pillow and you closed your eyes, your mind drifted back to everything that had happened that day. You could see it all now behind your eyelids, as though you were experiencing it all over again. And then the image of Cove popped into your head, and you smiled softly to yourself. Oh, these options. You texted him to come over. You wanted to sneak out to his room. Oh. Sneak out to his room. Turn it on its head, right? Go visit him this time. Oh. Should I text him to come over or sneak over to his room? Screw it. I'm sneaking over to his room. He'll have to deal with me coming in his window this time. If Cove could do it, then you didn't see why you shouldn't be allowed to. You made up your mind. As quietly as you could manage, you put on your shoes and slipped out of your room, closing the door behind you softly. Heading slowly down, you took care not to make the floor creak, especially the boards right by the bathroom. Those definitely squeaked. The stillness of the night made the slightest sound seem so much louder to your ears, and you were very aware of your mom sleeping nearby. Upon reaching the bottom, you tiptoed toward the front door. Slipping out into the crisp night air, you shut the door and took a relieving breath. Excitement rising, you dashed across the street towards Cove's house. Oh my god. Breaking and entering. You love the sirens in the background. Good. I think that was probably an ambulance. I don't know. You know how it is. The road, too, was surreal at this hour. Familiar and yet strange. It might have been eerie at another time, but with how eager you were, you hardly cared. You attempted to find your way from the normal footpath to the side of the condo, but the limited light was making it difficult. You knew for sure which window was Cove's, and lucky for you, it was on the first floor. Unlike Cove, you wouldn't have to do any building scaling. All you needed to do now was make it safely over the fence and past the bushes without being caught. Or injured. Sneaking closer, you glanced over the hedges towards Cove's bedroom window, finding it cracked open. Perfect. You wouldn't have to knock and worry about him not answering. Hoisting yourself up with ease, you cleared the fence and avoided the shrubs, then darted over to the window. You buzzed with a nervous excitement as you approached it in the dark, having successfully made it all the way here unseen. Lifting the window up so it was fully open, you pushed yourself halfway through, your legs dangling into the underbrush below. Do these windows not have screens on them? That's just occurring to me now. Do none of our windows have screens? Whatever. It was a little awkward as a small shelf was right in the way. You had to take care not to knock over a couple of plants, but you made it through with minimal noise. Once safely inside, you dusted yourself off and turned back to close the window gently, with only the soft glow of moonlight in Cove's fish tank there to see the way. Aw, you gave a small wave to the special fish you got to name Rainbow Fish. I remember when we named Rainbow Fish. Callbacks, how cute. Then, straining your eyes through the dark, you crept towards Cove's bed, barely making out the sleeping figure beneath the covers. By the sound of his soft breathing, you could tell that he hadn't heard you come in, and a small smile tugged at your lips. You nudged him gently. You startled him with a loud noise. That's so mean. No. You sat down on top of him. I'm gonna whisper his name. Cove? You figured he must be in a deep sleep as he continued snoozing away. Positioning your lips beside his ear, you tried again. Cove, wake up. This time he sleepily blinked his eyes and mumbled something incoherent beneath his breath. Hey, I wanted to come over. Is that alright? He let out a yawn and rolled towards you, waking up just enough to understand the question, but not the full context. A faint smile appeared on his face. What? Yeah, I want you here. You snickered quietly to yourself as you sat there. He could figure it out on his own. After a few more seconds, he did. Wait, Lewis? Yes, I'm here. He shuffled under the covers and sat up to stare at you in alarm.
What?
Why are you in my room? What happened? A smile slipped onto your face as he finally registered your presence for real. Ah, you pulled him in for a kiss. Cute. Yeah, Lewis is being direct now, sure. Clutching the front of his shirt, you gently pulled him towards you and met his lips with your own. He kissed you back softly before pulling back too quickly, looking a little flustered. Was that the whole reason? He hesitated before whispering the next part embarrassedly. To kiss me? What? We're bros. You can't kiss me. It's not the only reason. He gave a small sigh, but it held a great deal of affection. I should have known you'd do this one of these days. It's only fair. You let out a breath, feeling relieved that he didn't seem bothered by it. In fact, it felt kind of good. You thought maybe this enthusiasm was why Cove did it so often. He pushed himself up fully, swinging his legs over the side of the bed and leaving a spot for you beside him. His hands shook where he held them in his lap. He was nervous. Aw, honey. You can stay as long as you want. Really? Yeah, really. How long do you want me to stay? Well, to be honest, there aren't a lot of situations where leaving you is ever what I want. I guess only when I annoy you and you need space. You chuckled softly, doubting that would happen anytime soon. Okay, I won't go anywhere. His face lit up as he settled in even more. I've secretly slept over in your room before. It's fair you get to do it too. Oh god, yeah, that's right. He almost got caught. You snickered, feeling pleased with your decision to do this. Okay, but there's no way I'm letting you take the floor this time. Here we go again. You rolled your eyes and let out a soft laugh, which Cove returned as he rubbed at the back of his neck. We should just share the bed. I mean, we're a couple now. That is super cute, though. Them just cuddling, that would be hecka cute. Yeah, we should share the bed. I mean, yeah. I guess we could do that. Nothing is stopping us. Holding back your amusement, you tried not to grin at his bashfulness. He obviously hadn't thought it through completely, but at least he was up for it. We're gonna share the bed. You could hear the tremble in Cove's voice as he held his hands together to keep them from shaking. Actually, maybe not. Your eyebrows rose at how quickly he changed his mind. Aww. But when he saw he was serious, he let out a sigh. I don't want you to be uncomfortable, bud. It's okay. I'm sorry. I'll do it. I can do it. I want to do it. I just need a second. You're so sweet. Honey, you were glad he was making the effort. It was an important step in your relationship, and he seemed to understand that. It only took a couple moments longer before he turned to you, attempting a weak smile. Ready? Yeah, let's get in there. He took another deep breath and you slipped under the covers, making room for him to get in after you. Laying as straight as a steel rod, Cove tensed up beside you, so still he was barely breathing at all. You rested on your side and faced him, your eyebrows pinched in the middle as you watched him. He looked back at you deeply. Lewis. Oh, all of a sudden he started trembling and shaking more than ever, and he scrambled out of the bed. You bolted upright, leaning back on your hands as you stared at him in shock. You alright? Yeah, I'll be back. I just need some more time. Oh, I don't want to push him. I feel bad. He ran a hand through his hair in exasperation and paced around the room, breathing heavily. You were worried for him, but completely at a loss for what to do. As though he could read your mind, he spoke again.
Don't worry about it.
It's fine, don't worry. He assured you between heavy gasping breaths, but you were having trouble believing him. When he bent over with his hands on his knees, like he had just run a marathon, you were even more concerned. Don't push yourself, bud, it's okay. This isn't a problem, just a process. He held up a hand to reassure you. With nothing left to do, you sank back down into the bed and let him have the space he obviously needed. Okay, take all the time you need. And it did take some time for him to finish working out his nervous energy and steady his breathing to an even rhythm, but eventually he collected himself enough to relax. You tentatively glanced over at him, watching as he let out one last deep sigh before turning back to you. Can I come back still? Asking permission to come back to your own bed? Of course. You smiled reassuringly and shuffled over to make space for him. He immediately perked up as he slid back into bed beside you, though was still careful not to get too close. Thank you for waiting, again, as always. He laughed shyly, his soft eyes meeting yours through the dim light.
Are you okay?
Are you okay? I am now that you are. I'll always wait for you, Cove. He squeezed your arm a little tighter, his lips curving into a smile as he looked at you in awe. You wrapped your arms around him. Your fingers gently brushed up and down his back as you held him close. The room grew quiet around you. The only sounds to be heard were the faraway crash of the ocean waves and your breath mingling in the small space between you. Cove's heart was pounding, the thump of it rumbling through you as he spoke again softly. You know, I'm not scared of you, right? It's just so many other things that scare me. I get it, bro. I feel you. I'm afraid of what-if hypotheticals that aren't actually real, but I think about anyway, and of nebulous concepts of what things might mean that I can barely explain even to myself. I'm scared of my own feelings and how much I feel them. And I'm afraid because tomorrow things will be different between us, but I'll be alone again. It's normal right now to see you during the day and part ways at night, except for special occasions. A little laugh escaped him before his tone became serious once more. It's easier to stay where I am than it is to make myself move, to not take a risk, and to not know what I might be missing, but... He hesitated, and you reached up to brush a few strands of hair from his face gently, his eyes slowly fixing on yours. When did doing the easy thing get so hard? When it comes to you, I don't know how to stay still. I want to keep taking steps forward. Honestly, when I see your face or even imagine it, I want to start sprinting. But when I try, I hit a wall. I feel this big time. I feel you, Cove. It's just like I physically can't do it on one side of my mind. There's something blocking me. And then on the other side, I absolutely can't stop myself from doing it. It never ends well.
I'm always like this.
I hate it. It's the most frustrating thing. Why do I do it every time? I'm annoyed with the way I am, so I have no idea how you stand it. I'm sorry I act so split when it comes to romantic things. Whoops. I do not want you thinking you're rushing me when I know I'm giving mixed signals. And I don't want to miss out on being happy by being like this. Sometimes I still can't help it. Don't push yourself, baby. It's okay. So basically what I'm trying to say is that I'm glad you've never given up on me. It means a lot. It means everything to me. You don't give up on me either. I've been extraordinarily dense through all this, Cove. Like, Lewis Lewis has been, like, dense as a rock, so I think it's only fair. Oh. His eyes glossed over a little as he squeezed you closer to him and smiled, his heart rate finally relaxing to a normal rhythm.
Good night.
Good night, Lewis. Oh boy, we're actually gonna sleep like this. Oh god, this is not gonna go well when they find us in the morning. Good night. Ironically, when inevitably his parents find us in the morning, they're going to be assuming far worse, because we are still just, like, basically platonically cuddling, and that's it. But they will assume worse. I know they will. Cocooned in his warmth, you easily grew comfortable next to him, feeling him ease into you as well. Before long, your eyes were growing heavy, and you drifted off in a restful sleep side by side. The next morning, you were lost in a comfortable dream, until a loud noise startled you awake, and your eyes flew open, wildly searching for the source of the sound. Yep, here we go. It was the door opening abruptly, and in the frame stood Mr. Holden, smiling brightly. He hadn't seemed to have noticed you straight away. Get your butt out of bed, sport. Mom's here. Oh. All of a sudden, the two of you made eye contact. He froze where he stood, the smile slowly slipping from his face. Well, that's not what I usually walk into. I clearly should have knocked this morning. Of course, Cove would have got away with sneaking into my room, and I'm the one who gets caught. I probably shouldn't say that right now. I'm just gonna say, good morning, Mr. Holden. Morning, Lewis. Cove blinked his eyes tiredly and mumbled something incoherent before turning toward the door. Both you and Mr. Holden stared at him for a few moments, neither knowing what to say or do. Cove, who continued looking at his dad dozily, was obviously having a hard time trying to process the situation. Then, his eyes widened. Dad? Cove scrambled on the bed in an attempt to get to his feet, pushing the covers back off the both of you. Forgetting there was an overhanging ceiling above him, his head shot upwards and hit his head on the wood. Ow! He flopped back down on his pillow, pressing a hand to his head and groaning loudly. Oh god, Cove! You reached out towards him instinctively. Cove, bud, you alright over there? Mr. Holden stepped further into the room, his eyebrows furrowed in concern, and he bent down towards his son. Yes, please, just go. Okay, I'll leave. Cliff set his hands in front of him in a calming gesture, even though Cove couldn't see it. He turned to make his exit, but stopped abruptly in the doorway, obviously deciding he had something more to say. Oh no. Oh god. I know we've talked about this before, but I feel like now is one of those times to mention that I was barely older than you when I found out I was gonna be a daddy, so just if there's anything you need to say or ask about, we're not having kids! I know, I was only saying at this age things can move fast, and he let out a heavy sigh, running a hand over his face before stopping himself and saying calmly, you know what, it's fine. We'll chat about this later. Kyra's waiting. Of course I get caught, angrily walks out the window. That's a mood, just, wow, okay, so I'm the one who gets caught. You know what, I'm not dealing with this, just opens the window. With that, he stepped back out of the room, giving the two of you one last look before pulling the door shut behind him. Cove rubbed at his face before dropping his head into his hands and mumbling between his fingers. Listen, Cove, it's not the first time they've caught us sharing a bed together, let's be real.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, oh my god. Well, that was fun. You patted him on the leg. It's alright. Things like this happen. With a heavy sigh, Cove forced himself to sit up again. He frowned hard, staring over at the closed door. Sorry. I guess we can't just hide in here now. He gave you a sidelong glance, and despite his displeasure at the situation, a small smile quirked to his lips.
It's nice.
It's too bad. It really had been nice. Too bad is right. I hope we get the chance to do this again soon. You found yourself smiling along with them. The two of you took a few minutes to get up properly and get yourselves as ready as possible before heading out to see Kyra. Oh god, that's right, his mom's here. The look on her face, just like... That look says it all, just like, hello, boys. Oh, this is what I wanted. This is it. I wanted to see Kyra's reaction to these two. Kyra was waiting patiently in the living room. She was in high spirits with her eyes set on the hallway. Her amused smile only widened when you and Cove froze. It didn't take long for the realization to sink in that the scene must have been loud enough for her to hear even from there. Cove tried to look unimpressed, eyes narrowing, over Kyra's smug delight, though his face was already turning red and his mom hadn't even said anything yet. He squared his shoulders, lifted his head, and strode forward.
Hey.
Hi, Mom. Hi, baby. And hello to you too, Lewis. Her tone cracked in her greeting, and she just gave in and laughed, unable to keep any of it in. Cove frowned at that, and his eyebrows furrowed. Sorry for the interruption. I didn't know you already had guests. His frown wobbled as he became even more embarrassed by the moment. He couldn't muster up any words to defend himself. Well, it's not like anyone's surprised by this. Kyra laughed even harder this time. As it slowed, she brought a hand to cover her mouth, but you both could still see her shoulders shake. Cove still looked mortified, but he shot you a stern look. All you could do was smile. Cove was still unable to say anything, other than his teeth biting into the side of his cheek. He stood there frozen. Kyra studied you both for a moment. It's okay. My not-so-little mister is spreading his wings. I can't complain about that. She lightly tapped the tip of his nose. That got a tiny smile out of Cove. Despite being much taller than Kyra at this point, he still seemed like a little kid in front of her. You released the air you were holding in your lungs, and then Kyra's gaze locked onto you. You know, we were just about to go over to see Pam and Noelle. Are you two coming? I'll go, since it's my house. He stretched his arms for a moment and yawned, trying to physically shake off what happened.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Great.
Let's do it. It was then that you noticed Mr. Holden standing on the other side of the room. You figured he must have been trying to create some space for everyone during that last conversation. You could tell he still felt a bit awkward, but he tried smiling reassuringly as he scratched the back of his neck. His attention went to Cove. Bud, you want to get changed first? Cove looked down at his pajamas for a moment. He shook his head. No, we don't have to wait for that. Are you sure? It's only a trip across the street.
Don't worry about it.
I'm alright. Besides, Lewis is going in pajamas too. Fair point. Cove then leaned in closer to you. He grumbled quietly. And your moms are gonna figure out what happened anyway, so... Right.
Come on.
Away we go. With that decided, the four of you headed out across the street to your house. It felt strange waiting there while Mr. Holden knocked on the door.
Hello.
Hi there. Mom answered the door, and her expression brightened even more seeing Kyra there. She moved to pull Kyra into a hug when her gaze fell on you. Lewis? Hi, Mom.
Huh?
When did you get out there? Why are you still in your pajamas? Mom's eyebrow raised as she gave you a deep, examining stare. Meanwhile, you and Cove shared a slow, side glance with each other. Before you could answer, more heads popped into view around the doorway. Ma, Liz, and Lee were all chuckling. To be honest, I always assumed Cove had been the one sneaking around. You assumed correctly, Mother. Her eyes sparkled with amusement and you had to look away. You noticed Cove's face was burning red again. I can't believe Ma knew Cove was sneaking in. Oh, she definitely knew. It was a solid theory, Lonnie. Most likely they've both been breaking and entering. Yes, that's correct. I wouldn't put it past my baby. He takes after his parents.
Mm-hmm.
You're too right. I can't believe my Lewis has been getting up to all this mischief, too. Mortified, Cove looked like he wanted to disappear, while the adults chuckled and discussed what you and him may or may not have done. Fortunately, they left the conversation there. Enough of standing around, come on in. Mom moved aside to usher the group in and guided them to the living room. Before anyone could get settled in, Mom spoke up. You're all welcome to stay for breakfast. We still have some great spices and stuff from the farmer's market. Yes, we'd be thrilled to host you. There were eager nods from Mr. Holden and Kyra, but Cove looked around the room filled with familiar faces before speaking up. Maybe, instead of staying here, why don't we go to the beach? A scenic picnic, eh? Mr. Holden crossed his arms and contemplated that idea happily. Excited, Kyra clapped her hands together.
Yeah.
Oh, we can make a day out of it. Might as well enjoy the ocean while we can. That sounds lovely, Cove. Everyone else put in their own agreement with Cove's suggestion. Before long, both families dispersed, getting everything ready. Sandwiches had to be made, water, sunscreen, towels, and more needed to be gathered and packed. Plus, you and Cove both took some time to get dressed for the day. Aw, you also decided to bring that bottle of ginger ale soda Cove got you. Today felt sufficiently special to bust it out. Oh, God. Nervously nays. It's about time they got caught. Oh. Okay. I am going to end things here for today because this has gone on longer than I thought it would. And to my knowledge, that I'm gonna assume there's probably still gonna be more than this since this is like the conclusion and they're going to the beach now. So then next stream we will we'll finish this up, and then if it's not as long as I think it is, maybe we'll play some Minecraft with Alex and we'll see how that goes. But wow, at long last the boys have done it. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them for finally coming this far. Oh. Well, thank you so much to everyone who joined for this stream. Once again, and to Bagel specifically, I will be streaming again on Saturday at the same time, 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, whatever that converts to your time. So you can see me again next Saturday, and we will finish. I'm assuming we will finish Our Life for Good, and we'll do something else as well if it's short. Yes, the slowest burn romance. Yes, the slowest burn in visual novel history has finally caught fire. We are very proud of these boys and how far they've come. But with that, I bid you all farewell, and I thank you all for coming and joining me again, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!